Hey everyone, it's Sarah here with the Sisters Enchanted. I'm a little bit earlier than I said I would. Total, 180 from last night when I said I'd be on late and never came. So now I'm early. So I really, really apologize for those of you that were keeping your eye out for last night's video. I went to see the play Wicked yesterday. I think my third time seeing it. Um, and I got home later than expected. And then when I came home, my 2-year-old, who's always attached to me at the hip but stayed home with my husband, um, decided that was a perfect time to have a world-class epic meltdown. So there was, lots of toddler tantruming and tears and kicking and things. And then I was holding her, trying to get her to go to sleep. And then I fell asleep, waiting for her to fall asleep. And I woke up at 6:05 this morning, not believing that I did that. So that is why you didn't hear from me last night. I was passed out cold. But here I am today, bringing you day 4 and 5. I think I wrote in the top that this is day 3 and 4. It's day 4 and 5. Obviously, I have no idea what's happening. Of super simple everyday magic, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about everyday magic class during Monday, and a thing to look out for that I'm going to put in the group. So let me just recap what we've talked about so far this week. So the reason that this stuff, I'm calling it super simple everyday magic, is because this is everyday stuff that you can do to kind of raise your vibe and attract magical things to come your way. So whether you're, working on a spell, or you're manifesting something, or you're just trying to, get out of like a funky space or something, these are all tips that are going to help create, more white light in your life, more positivity. And that's really the foundation of magic. So if we think of building a house, right, we pour a foundation before we build the rest of the house. And the same is true with everything we learn. So you think back to when you go to school, you learn, your letters and sounding out things before you're reading, like a novel, before you're reading Great Expectations or something, right? You've got to learn to read See Spot Run before you can read a big novel. So it's the same. So this is super simple everyday stuff that you can use to create a more magical life for yourself, whatever path that you choose to take. So day 1, we talked about practicing gratitude and recognizing abundance. And the reason that is so super important is that when we are feeling ourselves being jealous, and this is all totally normal stuff, but feeling ourselves being jealous or having some negative feelings, or like, we're dwelling on something maybe that happened, or just like, we're really stressed out, we're frustrated, feeling resentments, all of that can really make it difficult for us to bring more good stuff into our life. And so when you are doing, like, trying to manifest something, or you're really focusing on meeting a goal, or you're doing a spell, so sometimes people will say like, oh, well, I'm not any good at manifesting, or I do spells and they never work. And so the thing that I always say is, well, really like break it back down to the basics. And so I also am I work with kids who have learning disabilities in a tutoring practice. And so it's the same thing I say with them. Well, if you're having trouble with like the big stuff, let's break it back down to the small stuff. And it's the same thing here. So if you're having trouble getting spells to work or manifesting, look back at that small stuff. So what kind of mindset are you in all day long? So are you like thinking about the negative stuff, or noticing negative stuff and not noticing the good stuff? So that's why it's so important to practice gratitude and recognize abundance. So that was day 1. Day 2, sprinkle sacred space throughout your home. So that's just really easy ways to kind of have intentional spaces to help you stay in that frame of mind. So it can be really easy to just go through your day and not think about the stuff that you're trying to work on, the stuff that you're trying to bring into your life. And with these little sacred spaces scattered throughout your home, so whether that's a little tiny altar space, it could just be a candle that you carved something into or wrote something on. It could be, I suggested like a photograph or a painting on the wall that represents something you want to bring into your life. All of these are physical reminders that when we see them can stop us in our tracks and tell us, say, remember to think about this. So for me, back in May and June, I did a lot of spell work around money manifesting. And so I don't like to number drop, but I will tell you that I brought a lot of unexpected money into our family in a short period of time, like a lot. And Anna, who was one of the sisters Enchanted, did this. We did the same money spell. Anna did not have much luck with hers. And so we talked about it afterwards and we were like, what do we think was different? So for me, I'm a really strong visualizer and I work really hard to stay positive and calm and like in a good mindset, positive vibe. And I kept my physical representations. I stay at home with my kid during the day. I work, both of my jobs are out of my house, the Sisters Enchanted and my tutoring job that I do, that I run my business, are both from home. So my sacred little altar spaces, I see them literally all the time. So every time I'd walk by this thing, I'd be like saying my affirmation or saying my spell in my head every single time I walked by it. And so, you know, having these physical reminders, they make you kind of check yourself. You know, you walk by it and you might be thinking, oh, I have all this laundry to do and nobody helps me, nobody cares, and everyone just bugs me. But then you see this physical reminder and you're like, wait a minute. There's so many good things happening also, out with all the negative stuff, and I'm so lucky to have all these clothes to put away, and I'm so lucky to have all these dishes to do, because I have dishes and I have food. This means that I have food and I have water to wash my dishes. You know, so it really, when you see these physical things, it can really help stop you in your tracks. So day 2 was sprinkle sacred space throughout your home, and that's why it's so important to do that. Day 3 was clearing your space. And that was literally physically clearing it. So decluttering, as well as doing kind of magical things to clear your space. So whether that is smudging with something, sage is really popular. I like Palo Santo. I'm actually not a huge fan of the smell of sage. I do have sage bundles in my house, but I really like the smell of Palo Santo, and like incense, I'm very selective about incense. So I like to clear with Palo Santo or just sound, like chimes, or just clapping in your corners. So you can kind of magically and spiritually clear your space, but also physically clearing it. So getting rid of the stuff that's holding you down. So think of it like kind of chains on your body, right? When you open up a closet and you just close it again because it's so chaotic, that's not a good feeling, and that is weighing you down. So literally clear your space. Get rid of the stuff that's not serving you. Donate stuff, sell stuff. Selling stuff, that's a great way to show the universe that you're ready to bring in more money, right? Because, you know, you're doing something to bring money in. So, so sell things, donate things, get rid of the stuff you don't need. Deal with stuff that you've been not dealing with, because when we avoid things, we're also like showing the universe that we avoid our troubles. We don't walk right through them. And the point is, you want to go through your troubles, go through the stuff that's bugging you, and deal with it, and you know, find strength in that process. So physically clear your space. That brings us to day 4. So like I said, I think the title might say day 3 and 4, but it should say day 4 and 5. I'm not sure. I can't see it when I'm talking to you. So day number 4, so I'm going to do both days today, 4 and 5. Day number 4 is cook up some magic. So I literally mean get in the kitchen and cook up some magic. And so this is like something we all have to do, right? We all have to eat. I don't find much joy in cooking, but even I have to cook. So whether you do a lot of cooking or a little bit of cooking, cook up some magic. And so what you can do is look up the magical properties of stuff that you cook with all the time. So I'm talking like salt, pepper, cinnamon, honey, the stuff you always use. Whatever that is for you. Basil is something we use a lot here. Cumin, I use a ton of cumin. We eat a lot of tacos. But look up the spices and herbs that you use, and even different oils, and find their magical properties. And then when you are cooking, put those intentions into your food. You can also write on food that you're making. So if you're making, like, I don't know, a cake or something, into the cake you can write an intention in there. If you're making a cake for somebody and your intention is to bring them joy for the next year, if it's a birthday cake, you can write joy in there, or peace, or love, or whatever. If you're making a family dinner and you are setting intentions again for love or communication, openness or something. So I'm trying to think of stuff that you could write in, like lasagna is something we eat a lot of. So you can, well, I don't usually make it, but we eat a lot of it. Anyway, if you make it, you can spread the sauce on top And then in an herb, you can actually spell out the word or just draw it in there or with whatever. I think you see the point. Also, when you're stirring, you can stir your food clockwise to stir up the energy inside of it and kind of think intentions into it, or while you're adding different herbs or spices. And you can do this like just every simple mundane thing that you do cooking, make it magical. So turn the mundane magical. So literally cook up some magic. And again, it's one of these times that makes us physically stop what we're doing and think about kind of that stuff that raises our vibe and invites more good stuff into our life. So it's a super foundational thing. So day number 4 is literally cook up some magic in your life. And day 5 is write it out. So if you've taken any of our tarot classes in the past, then you have heard us talk about journaling. That's something that people talk about all the time, journaling, right? So when I teach chakra classes, I talk about journaling. When I teach crystal, anything, I talk about journaling. And there's a reason for that. And nobody ever wants to do it. And some people are like, well, was this supposed to be like my diary from like middle school? And I mean, it can be if that's what you want it to be. But you can write about anything. So when you are trying to manifest something into your life, I have this notebook that's got all kinds of stains. You can see it's well loved. It's always in my kitchen because that's where I always am. I can see that my kid has been writing in it. But what I do is write out every day stuff that I want to have happen in my life, but I write it as if it already happened. Hi, Paula. Yes, journaling's amazing. So one way to do this is to write about stuff. And this is all manifesting journaling. So you could write about stuff that you want to have happen in your life, but write about it as if it's happening or already has happened. So like in the present tense. So one thing you could write about, say that you want to own a horse. I don't know. I don't ride horses, but if you wanted to own a horse, you could say, because I know that has a lot of costs involved, right? And it's a big dream for some people. So if you wanted to own a horse, you could say something like, every time I pull up to the stables or the barn, I feel so much gratitude to have this horse, and I feel I love feeling the wind in my hair when I ride the horse or something. I've never even ridden a horse. I don't know why I picked this as an example, but I think you get the point. So write about the thing as if it's happening. So for me, it's having a beach house. So we vacation at a lot of beach houses, but I would love to own a beach house because I seem to always run into trouble when I rent a place. It's always like something that needs to be done or that wasn't done that was supposed to be done. So I'd love to just own our own place, right? So for me, I write a lot about living on the beach. And we live really close to the beach, so I just need to like amp it up a little bit. But so I write about like the feeling of the salt water in the air and how it's like feels so amazing to drink my morning coffee sitting on the beach and hear the sounds of the waves when I go to bed at night. So I really visualize it and write it down. So that's one way you can use a journal as an alternative to kind of like how my day was journaling. Another thing that you can do, and this goes on to the gratitude piece, is keep a gratitude journal. So write down things you're grateful for, things you're so abundant in. You can do that morning or night. Another way that you can use your journal, I got to think because I'm talking so much I can't think, is to, so literally, I remembered, literally write about your day. And this is a great way to kind of practice those intuitive skills. You can write about your day kind of objectively. So a lot of times when we think about journaling, we might think like write down your feelings, write down how things were for you, like work through your feelings through journaling. And that's a great thing to do. So I had a really traumatic birth with my first daughter. We planned for a home birth and I ended up in the hospital after 5 hours of trying to push with a emergency C-section. Her heart rate was like nil. She was born like a 1 on the APGAR. My uterus tore open, lost all kinds of blood. It was horrible experience. And then I had an abscess. I was back in the hospital. It was really bad. Anyway, so for that kind of thing, I think it's healing to write about it, right? You want to write about everything. Get it out, like your fears, your angers, your sadness, your grief. Like that is when you want to write about your emotions. But if you're during kind of everyday life, just working on keeping your energy high and like intuitive type work, It's really good practice to write object. Oh, sorry, I had a phone call coming in. I think I'm back though. So instead of writing about all of your emotions and kind of not dwelling, think about just like how the day was objectively. So, maybe you were at the grocery store and the cashier was really rude and like you lashed out at them, which isn't something you normally do, but all this other stuff was happening. So instead of writing about all the feelings associated with it, just write the scene as an outsider. And so that's actually a really great practice if you do divination also, any kind of divination, because it helps you kind of separate yourself from the emotions you may be feeling when you're reading for people. So that's another way to journal. Let's see here. Paula's journal your faith's path. Yep, exactly. Journal your books that you are reading helps learn. Yep, exactly. So you can journal in all different ways. But that's a really great way to incorporate some everyday magic into your life is through journaling. And whatever journaling path you choose to take, that's a really great way. You can also write yourself affirmations or mantras. So you can write those in a journal also, or you can just write them on pieces of paper and keep them with you, or wherever you are. Those are other great things to write out. Affirmations or mantras. And so another thing you can write, I have a lot to say about writing that, obviously. So another thing you can do with writing, and we do this in our Everyday Magic class, so if you were in that class, you did this exercise, is writing a love letter. So you can write a love letter, and we did it writing a love letter to our homes in the household magic week. But you can write love letters to anybody. You can write a love letter to yourself. You can write a love letter to physical things, your home. You can write a love letter to something that's really bugging you but serves a purpose. So like for me, I love where we live, but our home needs so much work. My husband is a general contractor, so he does home remodeling for a living. And it's like he just doesn't do this stuff here because he does it all day long for other people. So for me, it's a really good exercise to write a love letter to my home and to recognize the stuff that I do love about my house, because it helps me to remember, okay, so even though there's this list of 100 things that I want changed, there's all these reasons for me to be so happy to be living here. So writing a love letter to physical things that you have some kind of grievance with, in my case, my house, you can write that down. You can also write love letters to people. And by that, obviously, I mean more like gratitude letters. Obviously, it would probably be weird if you wrote a love letter to, like your neighbor or something. But by love letters, I mean like a gratitude letter. So if you have somebody in your life who helps you out a lot, or somebody that you always see them working hard, but they never seem to get any, acknowledgement somewhere. You're like, this person, this little thing that they do always helps me out in some way. I should tell them that. So write love letters to other people, to things, to items, and to yourself. And that's a great way to cook up some magic in your life, really raise that vibe up and kind of, feel better about where you are, because it's so hard to focus on the negative when you're focusing on the positive. So let's see here. So Paula said, journal your books your reading helps learn. Oh yeah, we did. I talked about that. And thanks for the compliments, guys. Journaling during courses like the ones you offer helps to retain info. Yeah, exactly. So that's another thing I teach too in my tutoring, because I do that. I'm a certified teacher also here in Connecticut, and I have my master's in education, and my focus is teaching. So I own a business teaching kids besides Sisters Enchanted. To my husband and I, we have 3 businesses, his business and my 2. So I teach kids with learning disabilities how to learn. And yeah, writing stuff down is amazing. So I'll get on another tangent about writing. And I think I talked about this. I don't know. I forget when I talk about stuff. So the act of writing is super powerful, because you are when you write stuff out that you write yourself and then read it back to yourself, you're seeing it, saying it, and hearing it all from yourself at different times. So you're thinking it, seeing it, and then you're saying it and hearing it when you're reading it out loud. So when you're trying to manifest something and you write in a manifesting journal and then you read it back to yourself, or you're trying to learn something from a class or an online course or something, and you write it down, then you're thinking it, you're seeing it when you write it, and then you read it back out loud to yourself, then you are saying it and hearing it. And that is the best way to really retain information. And so a lot of studies have been done seeing how people type versus writing to learn. And writing really, it does activate a different part of the brain than typing does. So it is really powerful to learn. And when you're trying to manifest stuff, to kind of put it in that other part of your brain to handwrite. And so I always recommend to people when you are doing magical work to handwrite things when you can. So I don't think I have it with me, but my magical book, and I don't really call it a book of shadows because I don't have anything that I wouldn't share with others. I'm the same with my tarot decks. Some people really don't like other people touching their things. And if I feel like somebody has a really negative energy, then I might like sit with it myself afterwards and say some positive affirmations or like envision white light going through my stuff. But I'm a sharer. I'm open to sharing things with people. So I would share my magical book, which some people, if they have a book of shadows, that's the one they don't share, but they would share their grimoire or grimoire, whatever, however you pronounce it where you live. So I think mine's in the kitchen. But anyway, so I have a 3-ring binder because I like to organize it so it doesn't look very magical. But I use, this kind of recycled paper that looks fancier than regular white paper. But I always handwrite the stuff on the paper that I put in there. So I always see these great leather journals and things, and I'm like, oh, that would be so amazing. But I know myself, and it would drive me crazy to not be able to like organize my herbs and my astrology stuff and my crystal stuff and my spells for money and my spells for whatever. So I buy this kind of fun paper, and then I handwrite everything. Occasionally I'll print stuff out if it's like a fact sheet about something and I just don't want to handwrite it all at that moment. And then when I'm like watching a movie or at night, I handwrite it then and then put it in there. So anyway, handwriting is super powerful. So write it out and, really, handwrite and put your intentions into it. Paula says, love to journal, have about 20 of them. I know. I have like my manifesting journal. I have a tarot journal. I have a journal that I keep for my kid. I have, I write stuff about her in. I have journals for like business. I have journals for everything. I've got like notebooks everywhere. It's ridiculous. I have to actually go through them every like 6 weeks or so and start like tearing out the stuff that's not actually journaling. It was just like brain dump and reorganize it because I just have notebooks. I have like 3 in my car, in all my bags, in coat pockets. It's ridiculous. So anyway, hey Maria. So I'm actually kind of finishing up. So this was the last 2 days. I don't know what the topic says. I think it says day 3 and 4, but it's day 4 and 5 of super simple everyday magic. And I am going to type all 5 days up for you with some like activities and reminders, and I'm going to put the link in the group and put it in the files section, but I probably won't do it until tonight. So I do most of my work at night after my kid goes to bed, and I'm in New York time. So I know if you are in the UK or Australia, then that is probably like a whole other day for you by the time that I actually get this stuff up. So it will be probably late tonight before I get it up there, or early tomorrow morning. If I finish it but don't quite get it uploaded or something. So you look for that, and I'll put a post when it's ready so that you can have these things written down with some other activities and fun things you can do. Let's see, Maria. Yes, I have tarot journal. I have spells and rituals. Yes, I know. You got to write all this stuff down. It's crazy. I just have so many notebooks. It's silly, but they don't all fit in one thing either. I would need like a 1,000,000-inch binder to have a section for all the stuff that I do. It's just not practical or a thing. So, yeah, I have binders and notebooks for everything. It's ridiculous. But amazing at the same time. So, and pens. It's a really good excuse to buy pens. And you're welcome, guys. So again, I'll put the info in there. If you are thinking of joining Everyday Magic, we start Monday. So the link is above this. And in this round, there's going to be the Yule class that you get with it. I'm going to do a birthday magic class, a small one, because my birthday falls on December 14th, and like right after the class starts. And a money magic a mini money magic class with it also. So those will all be in the Everyday Magic class if you're interested. And Anna is cooking up, there's kind of like one grimoire or Book of Shadows page in there right now about Moonstone, and Anna is cooking up 5 more to put in there. Yeah, Yule class. So the Yule class will be separate also if you want to do that, but not Everyday Magic, which is cool too. So Anna's adding some of those, and yeah, lots of fun stuff coming. So if you want to join us for Everyday Magic, link is above. We'd love to have you. I know a few people have signed up. So if you've signed up and you haven't received the welcome email yet, I'm just behind on life due to falling asleep at 8:30 p.m. last night. So all the stuff that I do, I normally do at night. And because I slept from forever last night, I didn't get my regular stuff done. So I apologize. And I owe a few people readings also. And the weekend's coming, so husband will be home during the day and I can get those things done. So readings I'll catch up on, and if you signed up for Everyday Magic and it's been over 24 hours, because I always say within 24 hours you'll get the welcome email, then you will get it tonight. I promise. I will get you on the list, and you'll get that welcome email. So that's it. If you guys have any questions about super simple Everyday Magic, gratitude, abundance, sacred space, clearing your space, cooking magic, or writing anything out to create some magic, let me know in the comments or in the group, and I will answer them and put them into consideration when I write everything up for you guys tonight. So that's it. Thank you as always for being here. And I will talk to you all later. Have a good night. Bye.